Christmas Eve, 1986. A North Dakota Air National Guard F-4 Phantom takes off at 3:06 a.m. from Hector International Airport in Fargo, North Dakota. The Phantom is racing against time to reach Moffett Naval Air Station in San Francisco to deliver its high-value cargo to the base. On board the jet is a donated heart from a 4-month-old infant who tragically died in North Dakota. This heart was now scheduled to be donated to a dying 5-month-old infant in San Francisco, and the clock is ticking to get it there in time. This is a story of the heart flight. Welcome back. In this video, I want to share with you a heartwarming and incredible story that not enough people know about. With the holidays approaching and all the negativity in the world, I feel we could all use a small break with this incredible story. Unfortunately, we must start with the tragic beginnings of this story. Andrew De La Pena was born in California in July of 1986, and shortly after was diagnosed with endocardial fibroelastosis, or EFE, which is a thickening of the inner lining of the heart and is primarily seen in young children. Andrew's parents, Stephen and Deborah, had recently lost a daughter to EFE and were now at risk of losing another child, as Andrew was terminally ill and desperately in need of a heart transplant. Heart transplants were a relatively new development in the medical field. The first successful heart transplant in the United States was done in 1968 at Stanford University. The first pediatric heart transplant wouldn't be done until 1984, when a 4-year-old successfully received a donor heart. Andrew's only hope was that he could be one of the few infants in the world ever to receive a heart transplant. Sadly, for Andrew to receive a new heart, it would mean another infant somewhere in the United States would have died. This brings us to Michael Stephen McCann. Michael was born in August of 1986 to Steve and Karen McCann in North Dakota. On December 2nd, Michael stopped breathing and was rushed to the hospital. He wouldn't recover, and on December 22nd, he would be taken off of life support. His parents decided to donate Michael's organs so that they may help someone else. The medical team in Fargo, North Dakota, identified Andrew in California and began to plan to get the donated heart from Michael in Fargo to San Francisco. On December 23rd, shortly after his death, Michael McCann's heart was recovered. At approximately 11:45 p.m., the heart arrived at Hector International Airport in Fargo, where a Learjet was waiting to transport it and the donation medical team to San Francisco. This is when disaster struck. The Learjet, scheduled to make the flight to California, couldn't get its engines started because of the frigid cold weather of North Dakota. At the time, donated hearts needed to be recovered and taken to the recipient within a 4-hour window, or else the chances of a successful transplant began to decrease significantly. Therefore, the clock was ticking and a replacement aircraft to transport the heart was needed desperately. Many options were considered, such as preparing another private aircraft or flying a plane from another airport to Fargo to make the delivery. All would take far too much time. A desperate call was made around 2:30 a.m. to North Dakota Governor George Sinner, who called Major General Alexander McDonald of the North Dakota Air National Guard to see if any aircraft could transport the heart. Luckily, the North Dakota Air Guard kept 2 F-4 Phantom jets on a 24-hour ready alert standby to defend against possible Soviet attacks at the Fargo Air National Guard base, which is a part of Hector International Airport. One of these F-4s was ordered to prepare for a mission. First Lieutenant Bob Beckland was the pilot of this F-4. The Phantom was a two-seat aircraft, but due to the size of the cooler containing Michael McCann's heart, Beckland's weapons systems officer was forced to stay behind so that the cooler, with its incredibly precious cargo, could be strapped into the rear seat. By 3:06 a.m. Central Standard Time on Christmas Eve 1986, Lieutenant Beckland was wheels up from Fargo and flying nearly supersonic to reach Moffett Naval Air Station in San Francisco, where Andrew De La Pena's transplant team from Stanford University was anxiously awaiting the arrival of Michael McCann's heart. Beckland's F-4 didn't have the fuel capacity to fly directly to Moffett and had the first stop at Hill Air Force Base in Utah, which marked the approximate halfway point between Fargo and Moffett. After refueling, Beckland continued and finished his journey to Moffett. Beckland made the flight in around 3 hours and 37 minutes, arriving at Moffett at 6:43 a.m. Central Standard Time and 4:43 a.m. Pacific Time. The medical team from Stanford quickly retrieved the heart from the Phantom and rushed to the hospital to perform the life-saving transplant on Andrew De La Pena. The heart had been outside Michael McCann's body for nearly 7.5 hours by the time it was able to reach Andrew, far beyond the 4-hour time frame that was considered necessary for the surgery to be successful. Despite this, the surgery was a success, and despite many trials and tribulations over the next few years, Andrew De La Pena would not just survive, but he would thrive. Andrew would survive the transplant process. He would later survive 2 separate fights with lymphoma as a young child before going on to a healthy adult life afterward. He would eventually receive a master's degree in international studies from the University of Amsterdam and travel extensively to dozens of countries. In 2007, he would meet Michael McCann's parents, Steve and Karen, for the first time before reuniting with them again in 2018. He would also get to meet the pilot who made the life-saving flight, Lieutenant Bob Beckland, on several occasions, first in 1988, then again in 2007 and 2018. Lieutenant Beckland had a decorated career in the North Dakota Air National Guard, before retiring in 2019 after 37 years of service at the rank of Brigadier General. In 2019, the Fargo Air Museum created a permanent exhibit to honor the heart flight, including the F-4 Phantom flown by Beckland on that cold Christmas Eve in 1986. The 1986 heart flight stands as a testament to the humanity of others, as so many came together to bring a life-saving heart to an infant. From Lieutenant Beckland to Andrew De La Pena's surgeons to Michael McCann's parents, who made a life-saving donation in the face of such tragedy. This story should serve to inspire all of us to be better people, and this holiday season, I ask all of you to make the most of your time here on Earth, to make a difference in someone's life, no matter how big or how small. I wish you all the best, and I'll see you on the next one.